The problem with the New York Knicks isn't, and never was Phil Jackson. But there's a crowd on social media. There's a crowd outside of Madison Square Garden. They're squawking on TV. You know very well, I respect your information, I respect your analysis, I respect your opinion, and that will never stop me one time, not once, from telling you when you are wrong. And you are driving an emotional boat that accomplishes no ends. You're driving a car into a cul-de-sac, and you'll look up and go, how did we get here? And I'm going to be here to tell you how you got there, because you kept emotionally reacting to moments. Phil Jackson didn't bat 1,000. Phil Jackson wasn't a great GM, but Phil Jackson wasn't terrible, and he sure as fire wasn't your problem in New York. Your problem predated him. Your problem will post-date him. Over the last 19 years, since 1998, 98, right? 98, 99, when James Dolan took over. I think it's 99.
98, 99.
Yes. Do you know where the New York Knicks rank in record? Fourth
I would
worst.
know better than you.
Fourth.
I would know. It's worse than that.
Look, I know
it's
your
worse
knowledge.
than that. It's actually worse than that.
It's the fourth worst in the NBA. I got the information.
Yeah, but it's
right
actually
here.
worse than that when you consider the fact that they've won a grand total of 9 games in that entire span, which is worse than anybody.
Yes.
So I'm just saying it's worse than what you even projected.
So it's 9 if you set aside the first year, by the way. I think he won 9 in his first year. You're talking about in the playoffs, by the way, right?
Playoffs. Yes.
They won 18 in his tenure, but 9 of them were in his first year, 9 since then. But the point remains, it doesn't matter. They've been absolutely and utterly horrendous. It is not Phil Jackson's fault. You are acting like Phil Jackson batted 0. I'm not acting like he batted 1,000, but you're acting like he batted at 0. Let me remind you, they drafted Kristaps Porzingis, which you did not like. They drafted Willie Hernan Gomez, which you did like. They drafted Cleanthony Early, which you do like. And now you don't like Frank Ntilikina. But I'd like to talk to you in about 2 or 3 years on that one. These are Phil Jackson's moves that you're acting like didn't happen.
Okay. Well, first of all, you're very misinformed, which you openly admit, so I appreciate your honesty.
Which part?
No. In terms of me having the information that you don't have. Because when you pointed to just picks and draft picks and things of that nature, that's not my issue with Phil Jackson. Do your homework on my positions and maybe you'd be able to make a more salient point. No, you don't. You clearly do not know. And zip it, because not only are you on my show, but I'm on vacation, so I came off my vacation just to spend time with you. Fall back for a second and listen up. My issue with Phil Jackson, has never just been about the players itself. Forget a Joakim Noah in a $72 million contract. Forget a washed-up, injury-prone Derrick Rose. He's not washed up in terms of scrub, but he's not the player that he used to be. It was the money that he accorded to these individuals. It was the money that he accorded to himself. He tried to fleece James Dolan. He was successful in that regard.
Down money?
Hold on. He never, ever. No, I'm not turning down money. What I'm saying is, but I work for my money. Look, I'm on vacation, and I'm already doing more work than Phil Jackson did in 3 years. Don't get me started. The man don't want to work. Okay? Now, granted, age, attrition, health may have played a very significant role in that, because I'm not 71 years of age, so I'm certainly not going to knock him in that regard. But if you can't do the job, then own up, fess up, and part ways amicably, instead of trying to hoodwink all of us into believing that you really want to do a job you're not capable of doing. I'm not finished. Then we got Carmelo Anthony. Have you ever seen more flagrant disrespect towards a superstar than that? I haven't. What about the fact that Derrick Rose went AWOL on this team and Phil Jackson couldn't be found for months? He had a press conference in September, then we didn't hear from him for a few months. We don't even know if the man worked. Scouting situations, he was never around. NBA scouting combine, when guys are there for days, he shows up for 2 hours. He's not showing up to the press to speak and represent this organization. He left the spokesmanship to Carmelo Anthony. Kristaps Porzingis is a baby, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. And even at the age of 21, he still sat up there and said, Phil Jackson needs to go. It was him that sat up there and mounted the pressure. What are you talking talking about.
So you sit here and say you're going to follow baby streak and Similac and crowds and mobs into oblivion?
Just because I'm emotional doesn't mean I'm devoid of facts. And that's where the confusion lies. Because I do my homework before I get emotional.
Let me explain to you something.
And that's what you need to understand.
I want to get John in here. I'm not worried about your facts. I respect your facts. I know you can look at a piece of paper and see 1 and 1. What I question is your ability to add it up to 2. I'm worried about your analysis, not your facts.
But you do. But you know how to add it with your non-basketball knowing self. You know how to add it up to. You know how to add it up to 2 better than me? Really? Really?
Yes.
In what world?
Yes.
The fact is, Phil, are you going to sit up here and make the proclamation that Phil didn't do a bad job?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. And see, that's why John's got to get in here.
I asked a question.
No, that's what you do. You twist it, and they'll follow you. You twist it into see. Did I say?
I asked a question.
Yes. Am I up here saying Phil didn't do a bad job? That was your question. Yes.
I asked you. Did you say that? Are you saying that?
No. I don't think Phil was great, but I don't think Phil was somehow the problem with the Knicks. I don't think he drug them into oblivion.
We all know Dolan's been the problem.
Then what are you sitting here? You're like taking decoy. You're busy taking cold.
Because
your runny nose. You're not affecting anything that actually makes a difference.
As somebody like yourself who works very hard, I am appalled that you are trying to come to the defense of an individual who clearly didn't want to work. That's the point.
Such a parachute.
He didn't want to work? He didn't want to work?
Ramona Shelburne is reporting today that he wanted to work. He wanted the job. He wasn't tanking it.
I didn't say he didn't want the job.
All the way through Tuesday night.
I didn't say he didn't want the job.
Let me tell you.
I said he did not want to work. And Ramona Shelburne, who does a great, great job for this network, ask her how many executives, how many scouts, how many coaches, how many players have sat up there and lamented the flagrant level of work ethic that was lacking in Phil Jackson. Are you going to tell me that's something you know?
No, what I am going to tell you is this. You asked a question a little bit earlier. Have you ever seen someone have such flagrant disrespect for a superstar as Phil reportedly showed to Carmelo? I have.
Reportedly?
I have seen it. I am seeing it. I have seen it for the past 10 minutes. It's the disrespect you give to the 11-time champion Phil Jackson.
Lord.
How many rings do you have? You want to say non-basketball knowing self? You're up here talking about
Phil's for Carmelo? That's the best argument you have?
How many rings does Carmelo have? How many wins does Carmelo have?
None.
You want to indict someone's desire to win? You got the wrong guy in the New York Knicks organization. I can give you many names you should get to before Phil Jackson, including the owner, James Dolan, and the superstar you talk about, Carmelo Anthony, who wants to win so bad that he blocks a trade to anybody else. He wants to stay in this, as you put it, entire cesspool of a dysfunctional organization. That's his commitment to winning. He wants to stay here so bad. That's how bad he wants to win. Give me out of here with this flagrant disrespect for a superstar. The disrespect is you for a guy who's won 11 rings. Here's the thing. I'm not, and you're not going to twist it, sitting here saying Phil Jackson deserves a trophy for being the best GM. But what I am going to say is you have led a mob with pitchforks to get what amounts to mediocrity fired.
I don't believe I have.
One more thing.
But if you're saying that I did,
hold on.
let me pound hey, I'm not mad about it. I don't care. If you're sitting there saying I led a mob, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But hey, if you want to give me credit for it, I will gladly take it. There ain't no problem. This way that man needed to go in a hurry. He should have been gone, and I don't give a damn what you say. And the fact of the matter is clear. When you think about Phil Jackson, we are talking about a dude, we never questioned his greatness as a coach. A matter of fact, I wanted him to coach this team, but we knew he wouldn't because they were going to struggle, and we didn't want anything to sully his reputation. We also know that by and large, the primary responsibility that he had, Will, which he fulfilled, was to provide cover for James Dolan, because the more you talked about the Knicks, the more you talked about Phil, which gave cover to James Dolan. This is what James Dolan wanted. That's why he really paid the $60 million, and it is what it is. But it doesn't negate the fact that Phil didn't want to do the work. Talk to the agents, talk to executives, talk to players on the Knicks, talk to everybody, talk to them. He didn't want to do the work. Maybe age, maybe attrition, maybe health, I don't know. God bless him, but he didn't want to do the work, and you cannot defend that at all.